Hello, beauty-filled world. I am Shae Bryant. Blessings for your Tuesday, February the 18th of 2020. I'm glad to be here with you. And this is episode 3 of I Am Sovereign Shae. This is a social media show where we can explore and hopefully evolve our self-sovereignty in a time and in a world that desperately needs us to do so. So, what the heck is sovereignty? Well, I capitalize it to imply that it has a great meaning, great importance, it's a big deal. I use the word sovereignty to mean the same thing if I said presence, or beingness, or consciousness, or awareness. Sovereignty means, are you sovereign in the moment? Meaning, are you even there? Are you in your head? Are you in your ego? Are you in some mental fantasy? Or are you actually present in the moment? So that's how I define sovereignty. Presence, actually being available in the moment. All right, well, what is self? Self-sovereignty. In many spiritual traditions, the word self is used in two different ways. There's the lowercase self and the capital S self. The capital S self is the one I'm speaking of. And again, capitalizing it to denote something of far more importance. And capital S self means higher self. Or again, that observer, that presence, that you really are, your beingness. That is your self. Not your small self, which is your name and your gender and your body and your education and all the things you've done and all the things that you think you are, which none of that is actually who you are. So your small self versus your higher self, the part of you that will continue beyond this form. When this form is done and gone, what continues? That is your higher self with a capital S. So I'm speaking of self-sovereignty, both capitalized, to denote that true sovereignty in my life and in any moment occurs when I am fully in that moment, when I am fully present. And this is where the practices of yoga and meditation and any kind of spirituality or religious practice that is about you waking up. What does that mean, waking up? You're waking up to thought. You're waking up from thought. You're waking up to the realization that your thoughts are not reality. That in fact, the only time you are in reality is when your mind goes quiet and you can fully interact with what's there instead of interacting with your thoughts about what's there, right? Your egoic reaction and your conclusions about life aren't life. That's the difference. And so when we're becoming sovereign, it's waking up to that. Oh yeah, my thought isn't reality. I can always change my thoughts. I could quiet my mind. I could choose a different thought. There's reality and then my thoughts and interpretations about it. When we're waking up in spirituality, this is what we're talking about. Can I notice that my thoughts about reality aren't actually reality? And if I can wake up to that, boom, I have suddenly become more sovereign. I am suddenly more present. There is now space. There is now freedom from my thoughts, right? That's self-sovereignty. And if our mind can quiet, right, that ego is quieted down, the thoughts playing are quieted down, I can become more present to what is actually occurring. If I'm present, what happens then? Well, I have choice. Yes. I have space to make choice. Most of us, we're constantly just reacting. It's so hard to respond differently, right? And that's because it requires space. In the moment, when the going gets tough and your ego's going at you and this person's going at you, it's hard to find that internal space to choose differently, to choose a different thought, to choose a different perspective. And so again, waking up and this evolution of consciousness that we're talking about is having enough space within us to choose differently, to actually respond. And that lets you know you are in self-sovereignty if there's a little space and you're like, wait, I don't have to react this way. I could do it differently. Bravo. That is you waking up. You literally wake up to these little bits of space that you have within you where you can choose differently. Where then you could choose more lovingly. Could I say this differently? Do I really believe this? You have this space and now this awareness. That's sovereignty. That's you taking control of yourself. Instead of just being in the default, right? Being run by your ego and your conditioning, it's you ultimately healing it, seeing it, choosing, healing it, evolving. That's what this practice is. So self-sovereignty. Well, along with self-sovereignty, I've been talking about your sovereign story. And that this is extremely important because we've all have stories, right? We have that small self story about what we've been through, the trauma we've experienced, the relationships we've had, how we messed up, how we did this, like whatever your story is about yourself. So you currently believe, right? You're good at some things, you're bad at some things, you suck at this, da-da-da. You have these conclusions about yourself. That's your story. But I'm going to challenge it and say that it's not sovereign just yet. You see, because if you have taken on these stories, these interpretations of you from other people, from other people's minds, from other people's egos, and then now here you are, I'm a 40-year-old adult living these other people's stories about me. So for example, some of you know I almost died of anorexia nervosa. I had extreme bulimia. It was a horrific eating disorders for over a decade of my life. And I got to tell you, the source of that was me believing other people's bullshit lies. I believed BS lies about my body, that there's something wrong with cellulite. I believed people's lies, that there's something wrong with my fat roll. I believed all of that bullshit, and I felt so horrible by believing it that I literally stopped eating and became half my body weight and almost died. That's the consequences. That's how severe the consequences become when you believe bullshit. So I wasn't sovereign in the least because was I making those decisions? No, I was just taking what they told me and putting it on me and in me. Was I young? Was I unconscious? Hell yeah. Is there innocence in all this? Yes. This isn't about blame or any of that. We're just seeing how this all works. So for me to be sovereign, I actually need to reclaim my body from other people's interpretations of it. Bullshit. I also need to reclaim my story about all of that. So I reclaim my body, I reclaim my story, and I say, you know what? My body's amazing. It's beautiful. It can do so many things. It supports me. I don't know, babies have cellulite. I think it's cute on them. Why can't it be cute on me? It can. Because I get to choose. If I can be present long enough, then I get to choose. And this was actually how I healed my anorexia. Was in every single moment that I was being attacked by my conditioning, I grew enough presence because I was so damn tired of suffering, right? So tired of pain that I grew enough presence to respond differently. I'm going to choose a different thought. I'm going to challenge the conditioning of what other people have told me about myself and my life and what I'm worth and what I can do. And I'm going to find it for myself, yo. That's sovereignty. So what within you and your sovereign story isn't sovereign and isn't actually your story? How much of your story have you inherited from society, from parents, from siblings, from authority figures, from your TV, from Disney? How many stories do you need to reclaim and rewrite? And let me give you some tips on that. The most powerful words that you could ever say are I am. Because whatever follows after I am is you using your holy word. The power of word creates worlds. So if you use your holy word to say, I am a victim, I am powerless, I am stupid. Whoa. So this is a practice I do. This is some of what healed me from so horrific eating disorders and suicide attempts, was noticing quite literally, what am I saying out loud? What am I saying internally? But what am I saying after the words, I am? You need enough space in your life to even hear. All right, I'm speaking. Can I hear what I'm saying? Can I notice the truth of what I'm saying? Can I pause in any moment, stop, rewrite? I do this with friends and clients. I'll be speaking and I'll be like, wait, actually, let me re-say that. Let me rephrase that. Let me rewrite that. The words that follow I am is where your power is. You hear those words. You create your life from those words. And you can choose differently. You can create a different life by noticing. So just a tip for you, a tip for me. I continue to do this all day long. Just notice, I am, and then what are you saying? Up here, what are you saying out loud? Following those words. Wishing you sovereignty in your story and wishing you sovereignty in your day. And so one of the ways, last thing here, that I shift in any moment, because I'm going to be honest with you, when I wake up in the mornings, I am basically in a state of sovereign hell no. I rarely wake up with a yes to life, okay? That comes with a lot of trauma. Some of you have had immense trauma. And so if you wake up in the morning and you're in a state of no, like, no, I don't want to do this. No, I don't want to be here. And I wake up often and I don't even want to be alive. That's my conditioning. That's what's coming out and needs to be seen and healed. So I spend my mornings, I clear them out. I've changed my life to do this, because waking up in a no and then having a no all day long does not make a sovereign life. It does not make a beautiful life. Yes does that. And so I spend my mornings, however long it takes, sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes it takes 2 hours, to get myself into a sovereign yes. Yes, I am here. Yes, I am willing. Now, maybe I don't have to get all enthusiastic, yes, but I need to be a yes, I am in charge of this. Yes, I have choice. Yes, I am sovereign. Yes, I choose. So even taking your hand on your heart in any moment in your day, I do this in my mornings, but I also do it in my day. In any moment where there's anxiety, where there's some subject where that conditioning is coming up and arguing with me, I remind myself, I choose. I am sovereign. I don't choose this conditioning. I don't choose to see myself this way. I choose to see this moment this way. This is what I want out of life. Recognizing that we have so much power, so much more power than we know, and that just taking these sovereign seconds, this brief moment of consciousness to get our heading, to get our bearings again and be like, I'm in control. I do get to choose. Now, I've got a lot of conditioning and an ego and all of this in me that I need to do some serious spiritual healing on. But ultimately, the good news is I choose. I choose. And just taking a breath in any moment, that pause, that sacred second, so that you can choose. And I hope that you choose you. I hope that you choose sovereignty, and blessings to you for all of the work that you are doing. I'm going to be on here every Tuesday and Thursday. I'm doing 9 a.m. on my Instagram page, which is I am Sovereign Shae. I'm doing 9:15 on my personal Facebook page. I'm taking these videos that I can save and I'm putting them on my YouTube page, by the way, which is just Shae Bryant. And if you want to learn more about any of this, all of this, check out thesovereignshift.com. I have a 7-week online course. It's starting on April 1st. You are invited. And if you want even more than that, if you can feel that within yourself, you need to shift into sovereignty for you, for your health, for your family, for your business, for your purpose on this planet, because you have one, I'd be honored to help you with that. Reach out, send me a message, let me know. Otherwise, I'll be back here on Thursday to talk more about this stuff. This is an interactive experiment, so feel free to send me messages, comments about what would help you and if any of this is helping you. Sovereignty has helped me immensely. Sending love, blessings. See you guys on Thursday.